Walk in there and it's a sign, look, this big around that you could never miss says, do not flush. I said, what's up with that? And she said, what? I said, do not flush. She said, yeah, don't flush. Well, here's what's funny. I do the business in the little cup and put it in the little, well, then I pour out the excess. Well, just human nature, I flush the commode.
Oh, you did it. You broke the rule.
Ow! I had it all in the, in the
something.
And she said, "You flushed the commode."
By the way, Jase, you and your dad, we weigh what you're supposed to weigh.
Put your headphones on.
I'm 6'3", 175 pounds.
Yeah, but you were 220.
No, I never got to 220. I got to about like 205. I said, nope.
I noticed you didn't say me. You just said you two. You left me out of that conversation.
You don't want to get 40 pounds overweight because it's too hard to lose it. I got 10 pounds overweight, and I said, no, but I'm fixing to shave that off.
I don't even want to talk about this, but y'all brought it up because I just came from, I had to go do a checkup for insurance purposes. And my buddy...
Stop right there.
Yeah.
You had to go.
Yeah.
By whose instructions?
The insurance agent, who is one of my friends.
He's a good guy.
I don't want insurance. But my wife's like, well, we already get it. Yeah, because if I die, you get some money.
Right.
I've already brought this up before that I don't like it already. And they're like, well, let's just do it. It'll only take a few minutes. That was a lie. It was 1 hour. Look, I'll go in there, and it's a drive-through, basically. I said that to the lady. I'm like, so this is basically a drive-through.
Like you're getting a McDonald's burger.
Yeah, drug test and to see if you're healthy. She asked me 150 questions. And look, just over this page after page. Do you have any kind of cancerous tumors in any region of your body? I'm like, not that I know of.
So
isn't
let me get this
your
right.
job to figure that out? You're the medical professional. I'm not a doctor. Have you experienced, dizziness, aches, and pains? I'm like, well, I hit my head when I was jumping for a frog, and I was a little dizzy. Does that count? No, I think we're okay with that. Look, so then she said, what do you weigh? I said, I don't weigh myself.
I don't weigh myself and compare myself to other people.
I said, I weigh about the same thing I did as a senior in high school. I'll tell you that. I said, I'm going to guess at 170 pounds. And she said, well, I have a scale here. Do you mind? So I get up there. Well, I'm 168. So look, you know what she says?
Is this in the vehicle or out of it?
No, I'm out of the vehicle. I just meant drive-through, as in you pull in, you go in there, and then there's a line of people. The reason I say this is, well, let me finish that story. So she said, well, what do you attribute you losing that 2 pounds to? I said, are you serious?
When did you graduate high school?
I haven't had breakfast this morning. She asked me, why have you lost 2 pounds?
So you're supposed to stay on the 170 for the whole shebang.
Oh, no. I have some rare disease. I've lost 2 pounds, and I don't know why.
So basically what they were saying via this woman, kind of like Alexa, and they tell me that there's a woman that knows everything.
No, that's Alexa, not Alexon.
What's the name of it?
Alexa.
She knows everything.
She does.
So basically they were trying to ascertain whether they want to take your money on an insurance policy, but they wanted you to be perfect. In case they made a mistake.
Yeah.
Pristine.
And there was something that they shouldn't have given you insurance because there's something wrong with you.
She asked me 150 questions.
Do you have to be perfect to get insurance?
Well, she asked me 150 questions, and the answer to all 150 was no.
Not one single yes.
I had no. She said, I don't think I've ever seen where there wasn't one yes.
Well, before they got my cataract out of my eye, they wrote down they had a sheet and they said, check which of these pharmaceuticals that you take. And I just read down through, and after about halfway, I just said, well, it does not apply to me. So I wrote down there just big letters, none on the whole sheet. Well, when they finally got it, they said, well,
there wasn't a place for none, though,
you
right?
take something. I said,
well, that's what she said.
No,
today.
I don't take something.
She said, what drugs do you currently take? I said, I don't take any. She said, no, I mean,
Yeah,
and she didn't. She went like, and I was like, no, I don't take drugs. I will pass the drug test. There's no drugs here. And she got into alcohol.
I thought I was the only one offering pharmaceuticals, but now that I'm talking to you, Jase, there's another one.
But she said, do you have like something, cirrhosis of the liver or something? I was like, I've already told you, I don't have an alcohol problem. Therefore, I think that's what causes it. She's like, well, there's a lot of reasons. I was like, well, how would I know that unless you looked at my liver? I haven't looked at my liver ever. It's inside my body. They were unanswerable questions, I was like, well, if I did know, if these answers were yes, I would need to.
There's probably some kind of trick in it. It's like there was probably some embedded things that she was looking for. Who knows?
I think 150
so.
Questions. But then she's like,
did you have to do a urine thing?
Yeah. So then we get to that part.
Are you paying them yet?
And I have no idea. Well, I did say, who's paying for this? And she said, well, I'm sure the insurance company. I was like, oh, so they do this as a service. That's why it's just like a drive-through situation, And then to make sure you're perfectly healthy.
Well, if they had a fleet of doctors that you were going to, all the professional on every part of the body, all the different ones, eye, nose, ears, nose, liver, surgeon. If they had a fleet of doctors.
That would be one thing, but they're just asking you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel great. I feel fine. But she was asking things that only a doctor would know, that I would need an x-ray for.
Jase, face up to it. You're fixed to get fleeced by the insurance company.
I guess I am. But well, the insurance guy, who's my friend, as soon as it was over, I put done. That's an hour of my life that I will never get back. And he responded back, sorry, but, we needed to do that.
Well, Allie, we're talking about insurance, but we need to get off the insurance, man.
But look, I want to bring this up. So look, the urinalysis, she hands me a cup, 2 little deal, and I'm like, oh, I do this? And she's like, well, yeah. She said, I'll be there beside you. And I said, you're going to be there beside me? I'm not sure I can do this with you watching, And she's like, well, I mean, just right by the door. And I was like, why are we doing this? But then it occurred to me, because people who have drug testing, I guess they bring their own urine, BYOU.
Or somebody else's that's clean. Yeah,
that's what I mean.
I've heard about that.
So I walk in there, and it's a sign, look, this big around that you could never miss, says, do not flush. I said, what's up with that? And she said, what? I said, do not flush. She said, yeah, don't flush. Well, here's what's funny. I do the business in the little cup and put it in the little, well, then I pour out the excess. Well, just human nature, I flush the commode.
Oh, you did it. You broke the rule.
Ow. I had it all in the,
something.
And she said, you flushed the commode.
Something about the people that they check, they flush away what they don't want. So. Something. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they know their own drug, but they know they got to do that. They flush it, so she didn't want to.
That's what.
Let's face it. This old gal took one look at Jase, and she thought, "Oh yeah."
Well, actually,
this is Shady City has come to the doctor's office
from Dynasty, and look, in a weird turn of events, she actually dated Willie in like the 9th grade.
Well, there's obviously something wrong with her.
Well, she said that.
Well, they're checking you out to see if you're going to get injured. It seemed to have morphed on out, and you were talking about old times, junior high dating. I mean,
basically what happened.
Oh yeah.
Well, when you're spending an hour of your life there,
I don't know what we're doing here in our society. I went through that and thought, this is what we're doing.
That's what we're doing.
I did not realize this.
Well, you realize, Jase, that all that was to determine what your rate is going to be for your life insurance. That's why they're trying to hook you on something, because the more problems you have, the more you have to pay them.
I got it.
So
is that how it works?
That's exactly.
Well, I ought to get the cheapest rate.
Well, you should if they buy it. I don't know what the cheapest one is, but
I don't know. I didn't. It was.
If you had something wrong with it, they said, "Oh yeah, well you can get it, but here's what you're going to pay." Versus something.
They weren't trying to help me. They were just seeing.
I like the Almighty's insurance plan, because He gives us life and immortality, and if you think about it, and it's free.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, I'm going to stick with God on the insurance thing. I'm just putting my faith in God and take my chances.
I mean, your greatest line ever on that is people that eat right and work out. Because she said that. She said, well, you must eat right. And I said, actually, I eat whatever's out in front of me. I don't. She's like, oh. Like, you know,
And it
'cause I
guarantees
guess she
you-
can't do that.
even that, eating right and living right, you say, but still, your days are what they are.
Well, you're going to die.
Yeah.
You know?
Physical death is the problem. Jesus,
Well, I mean-
Jesus solved it, so I'm thinking I'm going there instead of the insurance companies.
Well,
You could be the healthiest guy in the world and a tree fall on you.
well, you've
That's it.
convinced me that I'm not going anytime soon because, you know, if she asked me what I weighed in high school and then says, "What about now? What do you think caused that?" I'm gonna be like, Chinese pizza. I mean, you know, I'm gonna be paying the super duper rate because I got all of mom's genetics with the blood pressure.
Well, that's what's so
and
weird
fat.
about it.
What?
Just like I was telling you, you know, I did my insurance evaluation. Well, when the girl was telling me, "Oh, I used to date your brother," you know, she called him Jess, you know, so I knew that
went
way back. Yeah. And so I'm like, "Well, hey, how, you know, are you married? Do you have kids?" You know, and she's like, "I have 3 kids," and then then there was an awkward silence, and I could tell, I'm like, she's getting teared up.
Uh-oh.
And she's like, I mean, I just met this person. And she's like, "Well, I'm not going to say I'm married. I mean, we're going through problems, you know." And so I'm like, and she got choked up. So I was like, okay. I mean, because now I felt, talking about the presence of God, I felt I have to say something about Jesus in this moment. I don't know this person. She's upset. I know Jesus, and I know whatever she's going through, I know the solution. So I said, yep. I said, I think the older we get, it just becomes tougher for people to stay together. I said, that's why I like me and my wife. I said, we have nothing in common except Jesus. I said, but you know what I realized after 30 years? That's enough. Because he offers a place and a time to start over. I said, just think if you don't have forgiveness. Well, then she said, well, I go to church, you know. And I said, great.
There's the money phrase. I go to church.
But that's why I'm telling this story. Because in her mind, she was thinking, well, I go to church. And I was more depicting something that happens every day in Jesus in a marriage. And I wasn't.
Who are you?
Yeah, I didn't know her situation, and I wasn't trying to judge her situation. I was just trying to get a little introduction of Jesus. And then I gave the follow-up point later, back when we started, you know, fixed to do the urinalysis. That's when I got on the resurrection. I was like, well,
that will bind you to people, you know, when you share a urinal stall. So
right.
I'm just saying.
And I thought I answered 150 questions no. So I'm in great health, but I'm not delusional enough to think that I'm not going to die. So I'm going to finish, because I talked about forgiveness with her. So I thought, I can't leave out the resurrection. So I said, look, tell you the truth, whether I get this insurance or not, I could care less. I said, because I'm all in on the resurrection.